Panic strikes as you realize on Wednesday that Thursday is your anniversary. The reservations being secured.
We'll see you at 8.
The gift being purchased. Yeah, you've got this. Just like Associated Bank's got you with early pay up to 2 days early on direct deposits. So even though they call you Last Minute Lisa, we'll make your last minute scrambling a bit easier. You've got this with early pay from Associated Bank. See associatedbank.com/checking or ask a banker for details. Member FDIC.
Hey, this is Homer. You're listening to the home of Marquette basketball. 94.5 ESPN is WKTI and WKTI HD Milwaukee.
A locally owned Good Karma brand station.
It's time for the best 60 minutes of your life. This is the Homer Hour, broadcasting live from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studio at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee, alongside former Packer Bryan Bulaga. Here's Emmy Award winner Homer.
Of your day, the Bryan Bulaga Homer Hour with Homer and Jason Wilde, not necessarily in that order. I want him to play today. Everything about the Packers is going great. I want to know from the Dr. Bryan Bulaga, was there ever a year like that? Now they get a coach that's fired by the Jets, and it has to happen exactly the way it did, or he wouldn't be available to help his good friend and make the Packers, I think, even better. Good afternoon, Doctor. Bryan Bulaga, the doctor of football. Do you agree with my theory?
I agree. Hey, man, this is I think this is a big get to get him on staff for the remainder of the season. He is a very smart defensive mind. He's a good football coach. I mean, this defense is the defense that he specializes, that he runs. I'm not sitting here saying that Hafley needs help, but it sure is nice to have a guy who's been running this defense for a long time, very successfully on staff, to help you watch tape, break down tape, give you pointers and suggestions. I mean, it's a big get, I think, and good on LaFleur going out and getting him, because this guy, he coaches ball, man, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So I'm excited about it. I think it's great.
And they always say, well, he's got family. He can spend time with his family. What, you think families were invented 10 years ago? Coaches have been having families for a while. Here's the first thing you learn in a coach's family. You know what that is?
They work all day.
Yes.
all the time.
You're important, but not as important to the team for your dad, and he'll do whatever he can, whenever he can at other times, but he's a coach. The mom knows that. The wife knows that. The kids know that. It doesn't mean he doesn't love his kids or didn't as much as any other father, but it's kind of how things work. There are things that you understand, and you would understand that if Salah, and I don't know him that well, but I guarantee you his wife knew he damn well wasn't sitting home after he got fired by the Jets, if he is the way I kind of think he is.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you just got to – she knows that he wants to get right back in it because, listen, he's a young guy. He wants to get a D coordinator job next year, so he's getting right back into it. He's getting on his staff.
Or maybe a head coaching job if you think that was all screwed up because
it was a screwed up situation.
No, I mean, it is possible, right, that someone could say, the dude just got screwed up. I want to get a hold of him now because it's only because of how screwed up that is that he's available. I'm not saying everyone would believe that, but I could see somebody thinking that, especially if they need defensive help.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think he's a good football coach, right? I think he's a good coach, and I really like him as a D coordinator, and that's essentially what he's helping out with here. and he's able to help out the offense, kind of helping the offense out with what defenses are doing to him. When you start playing these structures like the 49ers and the Lions and these teams, he could really help out with, finding the offense's tendencies and weaknesses and helping LaFleur and Stenovich kind of work around that, which I think is fantastic. It's great to have another set of eyes on the entire operation, especially when it's a guy like that. So what's great for him too is that he probably asked the Packers for like $10,000 and making the Jets pay the rest of it, because he got fired. He still gets paid, but by the Jets, but he's probably doing this for almost free for the Packers. So it's like a win-win.
We don't know on the outside how much interaction there is from coaches. Do you know, like the coordinator with the coaches and the defensive people talking to the offensive people? What is the reality of what goes on? Or do you even know as a player?
Like you mean like offensive staff talking to the offensive coordinator and things like that?
Oh, no, the offensive side talking to the defensive staff. So now you have Saleh, who can talk to LaFleur about the offense. Is that, if you didn't have him coming in, what interaction occurs? Or does the offense have all the offenses people and they work on it, and the defense have all the defensive people and they don't really interact that much in terms of the other side? Or, hey, I'm the defensive guy. I kind of see what I don't know. I mean,
yeah, there's not a bunch.
I mean, Dave Robinson said to me, "quote Vince Lombardi didn't know crap about defense. That's why he made Phil Bengtson, because Bengtson was in charge of everything about the defense, and Lombardi took the offense." But I don't.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, listen, there's just not that much like interaction, like from the point of like helping each other out in a normal game week. Now, when you play a team like they did last week, the Texans, where there's the same style of defense, very similar offenses, then yes, there is things being exchanged and stuff like that, between the offensive and defensive coordinator and head coach. So it just depends on the matchup. But with Saleh's role as an advisor to the head coach, or I don't know the exact title, but it's something like that. He'll have his eyes on both things, and he'll be giving his opinion and help on both sides of the football. Obviously, defense is his specialty, but there's a lot that a defensive coordinator or a defensive-minded guy like that can help out with the offense and help him exploit certain defenses and weaknesses and find those out. I mean, it's very, I think, beneficial to have a guy like that to be able to help out both sides of the football. But to answer your question, it was long and drawn out. There's just not that much interaction. I mean, obviously they're up on the third floor, the coaches are talking and all that, but like you're talking about like commingling with game plans and what they should do and that. Nah, it just doesn't happen that much.
I mean, I can see one side going, we got a tough job. You better put up some points. Like if we're the defense and we're going against, let's say, Mahomes of Kansas City, I say the offensive guy go, hey, dude, we're trying, but you better put up 30 this week.
Yeah. Well, listen, like that was our mentality every game. Like there were some years our defense was really good. Then there were some years not so great.
Like 2011, you didn't even care. Whatever they give up, we're scoring more, right?
Yes, correct. It didn't matter. But, there were some years where we just knew, depending on the team we were playing, like, we got to put up 30 or we're not going to win. Like, that's just kind of the way we assumed it. So, and the thing is, like, the offensive guys know when they get into a certain week, like, against a certain opponent, like, hey, man, 21 points ain't going to cut it. Like, that's not getting it done this week. I don't care who it is. Like, that's not getting it done. We know we're going to need at least 28 or 34 or 35. And like, a good example of that will be when they play the Lions. Like, 21's not going to cut it. It's just not. And both sides understand what the game's going to be like. But you have a good idea as an offensive guy what you're walking into and how your defense is and what they're facing. And, you have an idea going into the week that, hey, going to have to put some points up here. Could be a long one if we don't.
The game Thursday night is Vikings against the Rams, which is of note because remember the rule 1, everything is important in the NFL as it relates to the Green Bay Packers. So The Vikings are 5-1. It'd be nice if the Rams could, at 2-4, find some way to pull the upset. And I don't know if this applied to you, but almost all head coaches now seem to be like a coordinator of one side or the other. Did you ever have a head coach who didn't coach anything? What the hell do they do?
Well, yeah, technically, it was Anthony Lynn my first year out in L.A. He wasn't the O coordinator, didn't call plays. He wasn't the D coordinator, didn't call those plays.
So what does he do?
Well, he was involved in the run game and things like that. He was a head football coach. He was managing, had his hands in everything, but wasn't like the guy that called the plays and things like that.
But a duty like that Holmgren had or Sherman had or McCarthy had, that I'm assuming takes a lot of time, right? Or do they just they'd be the head coach and then the offensive group figures out the plans and they just hand him? No, he's got it.
Oh yeah, no, they're grinding over tape, man. They're building a plan, and that's what is I always find fascinating about head coaches that are also play callers, like how much they have to pay attention to the team and care about what the offensive side or the defensive side and special teams doing, but then also having to be dialed in on calling the plays for their side of the ball, right? Like, to me, I don't know how they're able to keep track of everything. And when the offense or defense comes out, whatever side they're calling, they come off the field and you got the iPad. How are you paying attention to what's happening on the game when you're going through the plays?
That tells me to be just the head coach can't take that much work, or they would never be able to do it. The guy would say, hey, I'd like to call the plays, but, man, that guy just got too much going on. Nobody ever says that.
Well, who does that is Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin doesn't call the plays.
That's right.
Yeah, Tomlin's never called the plays to my knowledge. He's always been like he has his hands in a little bit of everything, but he doesn't call the plays. So, Tomlin's a good example of a guy that's been doing it for a long time that way.
He's about the only one. I mean, there may be others. I can't think of them. But in general, almost everybody gets hired because of their how well they've done, unless college, on one side of the ball or the other, and they keep doing that.
Yeah.
Until at some point, McCarthy, there have been different times where people after a few years have said, I'm not calling the plays anymore, but it makes me think I could be a head coach. Yeah, what do I got to do? What am I doing all week?
I think, I think especially with Mike Tomlin, you know what I mean? He is a team manager, right? He is a figurehead. He is a guy that, garners a lot of respect from the locker room and everything like that. So he's able to go in. I mean, obviously he's earned that as a
but
head
no
coach,
other teams are copying and going, hey, Tomlin does it this way. The Steelers do it this way. We're going to do it that way. In fact, nobody copies him. I mean, one team go, we're going to do it like Tomlin. Oh, they must think he's special, or they want expertise on one side of the ball. The actions say nobody wants just a head coach anymore.
I don't think so. I think most teams that are hiring, they want their guy to be specialized in something, right? That's how these head coaches are getting hired now, because they're bringing a certain system to that team to build their foundation off. It was a perfect example with LaFleur coming to Green Bay, right? He was bringing that San Francisco type offense and Shanahan type offense to Green Bay. That was the system. That was the style. And then obviously the defense has now evolved over the last few years to what he's bringing out, the San Francisco style defense. That's what he's bringing in. So teams hire coaches based on what system they're going to get. It's not based on he's a good personality now, we're going to bring him in. That's not what it is anymore. You got to bring something to the table.
Well, I wanted to emphasize it's to me, and I wanted to bring up, it's, again, Dave Robinson was the first one to tell me this. He said, people have no idea. Vince Lombardi, he said, was an offensive genius. He had the power sweeper things, and that's all he worked on. And John Madden went to see him do a clinic one day on the power sweep, and he went from 9 to noon and then said, go on to lunch. When they came back, it was 3 more hours on one play.
That's
so
incredible.
even back to then, he was, and I don't know if you read books about him. I don't think anybody talks about him that way, but Dave Robinson sure did. So that dude was all offense. He didn't know crap about our defense.
Yeah, but you know what? He knew how to break down a defense offensively.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that's the crazy part about it. He may not know anything about calling a defense.
Right. He didn't know anything about their defense and what they were doing. He knew who the players were and stuff, or he'd count them. Yeah. So, all right. This was nice. It gets better. The doctor of football, Bryan Bulaga, and Jason Wilde next.
More of the Homer Hour coming up next on 94.5 ESPN.
Well, we do still have some backups around the area right now. Eastbound on 94, pretty solid from the Zoo interchange all the way to 35th. The westbound side is backed up from the about 27th Street all the way to Mitchell Boulevard. Southbound 43, a hefty ride there from Hampton all the way down through the Marquette down to the KK River. 894 southbound, part of the problem, we've got a crash on the ramp from National Avenue to 894 southbound. It is backed up all the way back to Blue Mound Road down past National, and then back on the brakes right around the Hale interchange onto 894 eastbound at Forest Home. Traffic is brought to you by Walker Media Agency. Power your brand with smart marketing, advertising, and IT solutions. Visit WMA 2024 to elevate your business today. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast tonight, increasing clouds, rain likely, some thunder with a low of 49. Tomorrow, chance for early morning showers, becoming mostly sunny, a high of 63. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
On this show, it's always football season.
And your argument was that the coaches wanted him to return it.
Yeah, I think,
and he very clearly said no.
They wanted him to take it to the house.
Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Also sponsored by American Family Insurance.
Play the results, are we?
That's what coaches do sometimes, yeah.
Weekdays from 9 to noon on 94.5 ESPN, the Wisconsin On Demand app, and at ESPN Milwaukee on YouTube.
Remember when Hillary Clinton called you a deplorable?
You could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables. The racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, you name it.
Well, Tammy Baldwin agrees with her.
Donald Trump might be one of the most offensive and hateful and unacceptable presidential candidates we've ever had. So what does that say about the people who support him?
Tammy Baldwin is a liberal snob who spends more nights sleeping in New York City with her Wall Street executive girlfriend than she does in Wisconsin. Tammy Baldwin doesn't have Wisconsin values.
I'm Eric Hovde, candidate for U.S. Senate, and I approve this message. Join my team and give today.
Visit WisconsinVictoryJFC.com to give today. Paid for by Wisconsin Victory Committee.
The only thing that tops our selection is your savings discount liquor.
Lowe, Dobbs, Watson, Reed, and now Josh Jacobs. Football season is back, baby. Now's the time to set a game plan for your Green Bay and Wisconsin pigskin parties. This is Marie from Discount Liquor. We are your football party beverage headquarters. Whether you need an ice cold keg, a bottle of your favorite wine, a unique craft brew, or hard-to-find liquor, we have everything you need, all at the lowest prices in town. Come see us today at 51st in Oklahoma and Milwaukee, and on Barstow and Maine in downtown Waukesha. Voted best liquor store again.
The only thing that tops our selection is your savings.
Wherever you're tailgating, we'll get you all set up with your favorite beverages. We're open daily 9 to 9 and Sundays 10 to 2. See all of our weekly specials at DiscountLiquorInc.com.
Discount Liquor.
They say seeing is believing, and when you see what's inside at American Place Casino, you better believe you're gonna love it. Because when it comes to amazing gaming, we're a real game changer. With the most exciting of table games like blackjack, craps, and roulette, the newest slots, a sportsbook, restaurants, bars, and more. So if you're ready for excitement, we'll see you soon. American Place Casino. Change the game.
Must be 21 years of age or older. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537.
This is the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN. It's time for Jason Wilde on the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
Jason Wilde, currently on assignment. So I will tell you about Fisco Auto Body so you'll like me more. That's how it works. Fisco Auto Body on Forest Home in Franklin. Forest Home in Franklin, it's a family business owned since 1931. It's not what they do, it's who they are. So by the time they're doing it for you, they've been doing it so long, it's easy. They don't say it's easy, but the quality of their work tells you it must be. Expert workmanship guaranteed for the life of your vehicle. So when you go there and they're so good, you thank them, and then you go, wow, this is all because of Homer. People think better of me. It's not at the top of the list why I tell you about Fisco, but it's close. Fisco, to remember the name. Up until we get Jason Wilde, because he's currently on assignment, so that we get to the best segment. We continue with the doctor of football, Bryan Bulaga. And I looked up about Vince Lombardi, and Bart Starr did actually call the plays for a period of the time. That's what they did back then. But they always said they had incredible game plans and ideas, and that was all because that was Lombardi, the best-kept secret, an offensive genius. All right, Jason Wilde joins us, so we'll get back to we won't do any more Old Testament football. Good evening, Jason.
Good evening, Homer. Hello, Bryan. How are you guys tonight?
We're great. How are you?
I'm great. Good. Sorry to keep you waiting. What does the doctor of football have tonight?
Well, I think I want to just start with how's the injury report? Is there any new guys that popped up that are a concern, or is this a pretty clean bill of health at this point?
No, they're in awfully good shape, frankly. They've got Devontae Wyatt coming back. LaFleur doesn't want to proclaim him ready to go, but he's ready to go. The only guy that didn't practice today was Corey Ballantyne. So I think they're I'm a little nervous because our guy Tausch, who, you and I both love him, but he did point out how healthy they are compared to everybody else. And I thought, I hope you're knocking on some wood there, bro, because there's lots of teams that were healthy and then suddenly were no longer healthy. So hopefully for the Packers' sake that continues. But they look good right now, and hopefully that remains the case.
Good. So obviously the big news today about Saleh joining the staff as an assistant, kind of what's his role going to be? Homer and I have been talking about it, and I wasn't sure. I would imagine he'd be helping out both sides, but what have you heard about his role going forward?
So we just got done talking to Halfley, and I thought this was really, like, again, I don't want to sound like I've got a man crush on him, but I really like him. I can see why players like playing for him. I can see why they're bought in to the degree they are.
Why do you think the players buy in so much? Not to interrupt.
He's a real straight shooter. He's very authentic, and Bryan would be able to speak to this. Players know a guy who's full of baloney when they see one, and I would say that he's a guy who they can see that he's genuine. I would also say that in our conversation tonight, one of my questions that I wanted to ask him after Rich Bisaccia and I had some, I wouldn't say cross words, but he declined to help me with my Jeff Halfley story, which kind of pissed me off. I asked him, I said, you've been I know you're focused on special teams. We had asked Bisaccia like 15 special teams questions, including a big picture one, honestly, that I thought I was pretty nice about, asking him where he feels like his special teams units are 2.5 years in, because there are people that don't think very highly of where they're at. And special team questions, I asked him, you've been in this league a long time. You've worked with a lot of coaches. What makes a good defensive coordinator? And he gave me the sarcastic, "You are amazing" line again, which I said, "You mean that in a good way, right?" And he shook his head. I mean, we have a fun interplay, but I really wanted to know, like, the guy's 64 years old. He's coached in the league for 2+ decades. I thought this was a great opportunity for him to say some nice things about the defensive coordinator. He is also the assistant head coach. So that would seem like a reasonable question.
Yeah, why don't you ask him? You're the highest paid special teams coach, and to this point, I don't know that I can say you've done anything that justifies that pay. Tell me why I'm wrong. How about that?
That would have been another way to ask the question. I chose a different approach, but no, again, anyway, that's neither here nor there. Although I did zing him because he's a big Yankees fan, and on his way out the door, he said, "Go Yankees," and so I, of course, shouted back at him, "Go Dodgers," even though I'm not a Dodgers fan. So that'll show him.
That'll show him. But, what did he say about Saleh?
So getting back to Saleh, and I swear that's where we were going here. So talking with Hafley, the obviously LaFleur made it very, very, very clear that Saleh's going to be working with the offense. He's going to give the defensive-minded perspective on what we're doing offensively, and he's going to focus on that. And I don't want him getting involved with the defense because I think Haf and the defensive coaches are doing a great job, and I don't want to mess with that, okay? But here's the thing, and this is what's great about Hafley, and he was like, I cannot recommend, you guys only have an hour, but I definitely want the audio of his answers today because Hafley's response to this was freaking amazing. So he obviously has known Hafley. Hafley has obviously known Saleh. He's worked with him in San Francisco. He called him one of his best friends in football. He said they've been texting every week, even before the Jets fired him. And he also said he's secure enough that all he cares about is winning, and I don't care if it's some stranger that walks in off the street. If he's got a good blitz idea that fits what we're doing, I want to hear it. And so he made it very clear that if Saleh is in the building, he is not going to say, well, no. LaFleur said you only are working with the offense. He's one of my best friends. If he has an idea, I want to hear it from him. And again, I would say this, and I don't want to pick on Joe Barry, okay, because it's fine that he mansplained things to us that I didn't think he needed to. He seemed like a genuinely nice fella, but he was not real interested in player suggestions, and that's something that players care about. And he didn't feel super secure to me. Maybe that was his history of having been fired a couple of other places and then eventually getting fired here. But I love the fact that Hafley's like, look, man, I don't really care. Like, yeah, he's one of my best friends, and that makes it great that he's here and helping however he is, but I want his input. So the fact that maybe Matt LaFleur was trying to, make sure there was a separation of church and state, I love the fact that Hafley's like, yeah, that's fine, and that's where he's going to spend most of his time, but I'm open to his suggestions. I don't have a problem with him chiming in on what we're doing on my side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, one would think that Hafley would really like that, right? Like, it's the same exact scheme. Saleh's very good at running said scheme. I'm not saying that Hafley needs any help, but it's always good to have a guy that's been running this defense for a long time kind of giving you some pointers and watching things and helping you out. I mean, I would think it'd be a match made in heaven from that standpoint for him.
No doubt. And that was kind of my point that I was trying to get to with LaFleur yesterday was basically, look, because he admitted, like I asked him, and he admitted that if Jeff Hafley didn't have the relationship he has with Saleh, that he might not have brought Saleh in just because he wouldn't want to create, less than ideal chemistry or culture in the coaching staff. And the reason he felt comfortable doing it, in part, was not only his own friendship with Saleh, but Hafley's friendship. But again, because then I told Hafley that that's what Matt had said, and that was when he basically said, look, I don't care. Like, I don't care if I know the guy or not. If the guy's got good ideas, I want him. And so obviously when it comes to Saleh, not only does he have good ideas, and he's been an extremely successful defensive coordinator, and let's be honest, the Jets' defense was not the Jets' problem during his tenure. That that he doesn't care. He doesn't see it as meddling. He sees it as helpful. And again, I think that's the mark of a guy who has enough confidence, who's been a head coach, that he's not, his insecurities are not going to stop them from utilizing this asset to be more successful. And I'll add this quickly. You know, you hear guys all the time say, all I care about is winning, right? You heard it through your decade plus in the league. But not everybody means that. A lot of guys care, yeah, it'd be great to win, but I really want to make sure that I get mine. I get my money. I get my credit where I believe it's due. Like, I care about that as much about winning. I just know that you can't come out and say that. I believe Jeff Hafley when he says that. Like, you know, they're 10th in the league in scoring, and his point today was, that's great, but that's only great because it means that we're winning games. And, again, his authenticity comes through.
Has LaFleur or anybody said to you, everything is just falling in place perfectly? Like, just, you meant no injuries, and now we're add this guy, and then the kicker, and then, I mean, you can just make a list.
Yeah. It does feel that way, but as Bryan will tell you, coaches never are like that. Right. And I'll be honest, I'm not like that either. You're right. It doesn't mean you're not right. What I'm saying is that when you're an NFL coach, as much as you want things to go well, you are always waiting for what might be lurking around the corner.
That's right.
And so they never, ever are like, yeah, God, things are going so great. Like, it is one of my personality flaws that when things are going great, I'm like, oh, God, what bad thing is going to happen now? And that's how coaches are wired, man. He is not sitting there thinking, God, we got the kicker now. I got a really good defensive coordinator. Our quarterback is going to get this interception thing figured out. We're healthy. Yeah, that ain't how they're wired.
No, they're always preparing, like you said, Jason, for the worst case scenario. And they always act like something could happen, and they're always in there. They're constantly thinking about those things. Even though it may be something completely crazy, they're never comfortable. And I think that's the sign of a good coach, that they're never comfortable. They're always planning.
That's fine, but the years when you have good years, I remember Andre Rison. I remember the greatness of that team and Brett Favre and Reggie White. Do they win that if Andre Rison hadn't been, what was he, cut or released by the Jacksonville? I don't know who it was. Exactly the same time when Brooks got hurt, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, that's the kind of stuff that is serendipitous and great. It's like when, Bryan remembers this, even though he was injured too, when Rodgers breaks his collarbone, and the day that Rodgers broke his collarbone in 2013, Buffalo released Matt Flynn. And so they didn't sign him immediately, but they signed him a week later, and he saved that season. Otherwise, that thing was going, down in a spiral with the guys they had at quarterback. So, again, you're 100% right, but I think LaFleur, and look, let's be honest too, what they've been through already this season, right? They lost Love for 2 games. They had to play a guy who played great, stunningly, despite not being here for very long.
But Love could have been out for 10 weeks.
Sure, You're absolutely also true. So I think, if whether you're superstitious or not, whether you're an NFL head coach who worries about everything or not, he certainly didn't expect Romeo Doubs to start no-showing for work. And as I just finished writing about Christian Watson, if anybody has reason to complain, it's Christian Watson far more than Romeo Doubs did. And Steno tonight, God, I love offensive linemen. Like, Bryan, you and Tausch, it's just such a blessing to do this job with you guys, because you guys cannot help yourselves. Like, you always tell the truth. And Steno basically came out and said, in response, I asked him about Watson, but then later on I asked him about having Doubs, be productive. And he's like, he just flat out admitted the fact that Romeo was frustrated with his role. Like, Boom! It's out there now.
Yeah.
He confirmed what everyone else didn't want to say. God bless offensive linemen for that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's just something in our DNA. Just shoot it straight. Just tell you what's going on. This is what it is. No need to beat around the bush on it. I do
right, like when he said that Yash didn't rise to the challenge. It wasn't wrong that he said that in terms of it being accurate, because it was accurate. The problem is he said the quiet part out loud like you offensive linemen tend to do.
Correct. That's exactly what happened. I just wanted to ask one more thing. Did you ask Steno, or have you talked to Jane Reed about kind of the last few games? He's been a little bit quiet. Is there any, I mean, I guess, is anyone talking about it there, or is it just, hey, whoever's the hot hand that game gets it? Because Jane Reed the last few weeks hasn't been what he has been, obviously, the first, 4 weeks of the season.
Yeah, I think I did not ask specifically about him, but I would say this. Steno's point, and it was a good one, was that the game against the Texans, from an offensive standpoint, was a mess, right? They had 5 possessions that were 3 and outs. They had 2 more possessions on which Love was intercepted early in the possession. Yep. Like one was on the first play, the other one was on like the second or third play. So now you're up to 7 possessions where you basically didn't have a first down to keep the drive going. And so he said basically we had 4 possessions. So nobody other than Rome, who got 10 targets, got a lot of opportunities against Houston. So I don't think they're panicking, but I did, again, back to being a straight shooter. Like I asked, I didn't know how he would answer it, but I just said to Steno, do you need to get Watson the ball more? And he said, yes, we do. It's as simple as that. Yeah. There you have it.
Yeah, I mean, that's I feel the same way about all these receivers. Like, you want to get them all the ball because I think they all have qualities and traits that are so good. It's just hard. Like, it's hard to spread it around to everybody at all times. It's just difficult. And
no,
obviously,
it's not, Brian. It's not. It's impossible. There's always you can't do it. Like, if they're all healthy and Tucker Kraft is playing the way he is, you can't do it. You're going to have games where guys are going to be quiet, and that's why I think what I believe to be Christian Watson's character will pay off in the end. He did not show up for work. To be honest, he wouldn't have even talked about his limited role if Tom Silverstein and I hadn't asked him about it. He didn't bring it up unprompted. So to me, that you need more guys to be that way. And if Romeo can be that way going forward after not being that way earlier in the year, that will help them tremendously, because there are going to be more games where, whether it's Reed, whether it's Wicks, whoever it is, isn't going to be as involved as he wanted to be.
Yeah, because the story should be 4 targets for Jaden Reed. That can't happen unless they had 3 guys around him. But that was the case against Houston. But there's so many other things that have been brought up. But that'd be my question. Jaden Reed, 4 targets. Who the hell's running this show?
Well, I'm sure Rich Bisaccia would appreciate your directness.
But, that's the question. Jason, what would you say?
It's just the way it goes from game to game with plenty good players.
All right. I'll have to go back and check how often that happens. I would say slim and none. But anyway, thanks, Jason.
All right, guys. Take care. Be good.
Jason Wilde, all Packers all the time. Well, I'll ask the doctor of football, Bryan Bulaga. 4 targets for Jaden Reed. The game before, 6. Received 6. Game before that, 6. Before that, 8 with 139 yards. Before that, 6. Now, he did have just 2 targets against Indianapolis. Didn't he get hurt in there? I don't know how many police. And he had 6 targets in the first game. 4 targets.
Yeah.
That's not acceptable. That'd be like Jacobs getting 8 carries. Not acceptable.
Yep. I agree with that.
Yeah, you agree with me. Well, we can take a break. I feel pretty good right now. Next.
The Homer Hour is back after this on 94.5 ESPN.
Southbound on 43, still a pretty hefty ride from before Hampton all the way down through the Marquette down to the KK River crossing on 4394 southbound. So give yourself tons of extra time there. The northbound side is going to be a bit slow right past Fond du Lac Avenue heading towards North Avenue. Westbound on 94, slowing from 25th Street to Mitchell Boulevard. And then on eastbound, we're seeing backups coming in from before Highway 100 through the Zoo all the way to 35th Street. Southbound on 41 got an accident right about just south of North Avenue. Northbound 41, we have an accident just north of North Avenue. It's off on the right shoulder, though. But just keep that in mind. We do have delays, though, from Appleton Avenue down to Capitol, and then back on the brakes from Watertown Plank Road down through the Zoo to another accident at National Avenue that is out of traffic. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast tonight. Increasing clouds, rain likely, some thunder possible with a low of 49. Tomorrow, chance for early morning showers, becoming mostly sunny, a high of 63. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5
Hey, dreaming
ESPN.
about that perfect house again? Hi, it's John Reeds from Great Midwest Bank. And whether your dream includes buying or building or renovating your current home, I'm happy to report that mortgage rates are finally starting to turn around. So make those dreams a reality with a custom-fit Great Midwest Bank mortgage product. We've been serving Southeast Wisconsin homeowners for nearly 90 years. Find a local experienced loan officer at greatmidwestbank.com. We can't wait to get started. Great Midwest Bank, your simply local equal housing lender.
Hauntingly good deals await you at the Cunis Auto Group's October Spooktacular Savings Event. There will be no tricks, only treats.
Trick or treat!
On the price you'll get on your next new or pre-owned vehicle. Prices will be slashed at your nearby Milwaukee Metro Region Cunis Auto Group dealership. America's best-selling cars, trucks, and SUVs from both Buick and GMC. All marked down with October Spooktacular Savings discounts and incentives, including their entire inventory of pre-owned vehicles. Choose from over 1,500 on lot or online. There'll be dozens of spooktacular service specials and everything from brakes, tires to oil changes. Plus, with any test drive in October, you'll be entered to win free gas for a year, with drawings held every Friday throughout the month at your nearby Milwaukee Metro Region Cunis dealerships in both Greenfield and Oak Creek. Halloween savings aren't just slashed, they're chainsawed at the Cunis Auto Group's October Spooktacular Savings Event going on now. For additional event info, go to shopcunis.com.
There's a good chance you're on a budget. We all are. But she wants a diamond. You know it. I know it. And Robert Hack Diamonds knows it too, because they offer a huge collection of lab-grown diamonds, and they sell them at crazy prices. How about 2-carat total weight diamond studs for $8.95? Robert Hack Diamonds can get any size, shape, or clarity in natural or lab-grown diamonds. Don't buy until you call Robert Hack Diamonds. $8.95 for a 2-carat pair of diamond studs. Oh, baby! Robert Hack Diamonds in Greenfield and in Brookfield. Why overspend when you can save at Robert Hack Diamonds for the same diamond you're looking for? Some jewelers are charging nearly $5,000 for a lab-grown diamond. Not Robert Hack. Your visit will be worth it, and she'll think so too. Robert Hack also offers repair services and cash for your old gold. But remember, before you do anything, as I did, RobertHackDiamonds.com, and visit them in Brookfield or in Greenfield.
Are you looking for a reliable ride? I've got you covered. It's ESPN Milwaukee's Jen Latta. I use AccuTrans Group for my private transportation needs during the college football season. AccuTrans is a veteran-owned business dedicated to providing unmatched corporate, personal, and event-related transportation that you will use again and again. From corporate travel and weddings to group events, AccuTrans Group caters to every occasion. Booking is easy, safe, and dependable. Visit AccuTransGroup.com to get a quote or to book a reservation today for reliable and safe transportation.
You're listening to the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
1, 2, 1.
The best 60 minutes of your day. It's not going to be as good with me as it was with Jason Wilde, but it's not bad being the backup. Like, who would I think of myself as a backup? I think I'm like Mark Brunell when he was backup to Brett Favre. As good as Brett Favre was when he struggled with interceptions, there was talk about Brunell taking his place, of course. Those close said it was stupid, and they didn't actually really ever consider it. Because I can tell you one man who would never have let it happen. and that's Ron Wolf. If Mike Holmgren had thought about it, Ron Wolf to come into his office and said, how long you want to be here? Because we ain't playing anybody but him. So work on how you're going to figure that out. I don't know how much you have talked with Bryan Bulaga. Do you have any interaction with the GMs at all? Players kind of act like they. People said this to me about Wolf. Like Chimera said, I never saw him and you don't interact with GMs. Did you?
Yeah. I mean, listen, like Goody would come through the locker room, and so did Ted from time to time, and you see him in the cafeteria.
But just to say hi, they didn't say, "Hey, Bulaga, get over here. Better pick it up a little bit."
No, there was none of that. That was not something that happened. So you would just always, you'd see him and say hi, or maybe start, have a little quick conversation, and that was about it. Like you didn't really see those guys too much. I mean, you would see the scouts walking through quite a bit, and head of player personnel and guys like that. But you just didn't. I mean, obviously they're at practice every day as well. No, there's some guys who have different relationship, and they talk to the GMs a little bit more, or not.
I wouldn't want to talk to him.
Well, Aaron talked to the GM all the time.
Did he?
Yeah.
What does he talk about?
I don't know. I never asked. It's none of my business.
I know it's none of your business, but you're watching him, and I know what you're thinking. Like, what the hell do they talk about all the time? There's not what.
It's above my pay grade. I know
that. Well,
but
any pay grade, you got one guy's the boss. I don't care if you're Aaron Rodgers. The other guy's still the boss.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And it's just, I just always looked at it as I'm going to stay like very low key and out of the GM's way. Like, I don't want to do anything that could potentially harm my chances.
See, that's the difference between you or me. It's probably good I was never good, because I would have gone up and said, I noticed you talk to 12 all the time. Can I talk to you as much? I kind of feel like, well, how do I pull this off here?
Yeah, I mean, I think they'd look at you and go, all right, just go.
Yeah, right. Go ahead. Nice talking to you. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, exactly. Get out of here.
They don't have as much sense of humor. All right, and when playing, we talked about Jane Reed a little bit. Were there times where, all right, we got to get the guy the ball? I don't know. Is that ever said? In meetings or?
Well, I don't think it's said especially in the offensive setting, right? Like the offensive team or the offensive meeting. But I think between the quarterback and wide receiver room, the point gets made. Like, I mean, you would just imagine, right? If there was a game where Devontae only got 3 or 4 targets, or Jordy, you'd go, we got to get him the ball some way, somehow. You got to find ways to, scheme him open or intentionally run route or call plays to get him open. So we, as offensive linemen, we don't know what those discussions are in their meeting rooms and what the point of emphasis is, but you can kind of start to tell throughout a week, right, as practice goes on, where the ball's going quite a bit and certain routes that are being run when you watch it on tape of what they're trying to do. And I would imagine this is going to be a big week for Reed. I think, I think he's going to have a big game, and because he's been quiet the last few, like we talked about, he's been a little bit quiet, and I think this is going to be a big game for him.
So when the offensive line, when you get together as a group, I don't know, does anybody say, or who was the guy to say, in practice, we've been throwing the ball a lot. Bet he's due for a big week. I don't know what. I mean, everybody creates this aura about the offensive linemen. They're smart. They're good people and stuff. I just want to be in one of the meetings when Bakhtiari goes crazy or somebody's just a little bit different.
Oh, I mean, the offensive line meetings are the best. That's the best room to be in. I mean, because you never know what could happen throughout a meeting that could just absolutely sidetrack. You could be watching tape being super serious, then something happens on tape where someone says something, and you just get sidetracked for 25 minutes, and everyone's enjoying themselves. It's relaxed. Obviously, this happens when you're winning, right? If you're losing and you stink, it's a different story. It's all business, and it's like a funeral in there. But when you're playing well and the team's winning kind of like they are right now, it's a good environment, and you got so many guys in there, and everyone's got different personalities, and the offensive line room is just unique because it's all 5 guys that are on the field all the time. Besides the quarterback, they're the guys that take.
And they need each other more than any other group of players. I was going to ask you, what's the closest thing to the offensive line? Do you even count tight ends? Do you hey, get out of here? You're not. I mean, you don't really.
Yeah,
count.
I mean, okay. I'll say who we did consider was Mercedes Lewis, because Mercedes was like an offensive lineman. He blocked so damn good. He was a really good.
But blocker. He was the exception.
Yes. I've never seen a tight end that blocked better than him, period. He could block a D end on his own. You wouldn't have to help him. He'd be fine. And that's very rare for tight ends.
No, not very rare. Rare.
Yeah.
Did you ever play with another tight end or observe a tight end that you believe could have handled and done it just the way you said Mercedes Lewis?
No.
See?
No. Just he was – I mean, obviously, he's very big. He's a big guy and he's strong, but his technique was so good that he could take 280-pound DNs and just lock them up and drive them off the ball. And you're like, good Lord, dude, this guy's an animal. And Mercedes was getting older in the league and he's still playing. He's an older guy. And the way he was handling dudes, it was unbelievable. Now I see why he continues to get signed by teams because he's so valuable in the run game as a tight end. He's ridiculous.
All right, we'll close. I got time for one more question for the Doctor of Football, Bryan Bulaga, but I'm not going to tell him ahead of time. Next.
More of the Homer Hour coming up next on 94.5 ESPN.
Hey, it's Alex Stroh from ESPN Wisconsin. Green Bay Game Day gets you set for Green Bay out in Jacksonville this Sunday beginning at 9 a.m. I'll be joined by former Packer Bryan Bulaga, ESPN's John Anderson, Jason Wilde, Rob Demovsky, and more throughout.
What's in store on Sunday in Jacksonville? Get ready with Green Bay Game Day, presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. From 9 to kickoff right here on 94.5 ESPN, the Wisconsin On Demand app, and on ESPN Milwaukee's YouTube channel.
This political season, you'll hear a lot of noise. But this November, Walker Media Agency has the expertise and team to improve your marketing, advertising, and IT. Start at WMA2024.com. Paid for by Matt Walker and Walker Media Agency.
The kick is up and wide left.
Why don't they customize the goalposts? Make them wider.
Gina Della from Pella? How'd you get into the booth?
And why just yellow? Add some green stripes.
Sure, Gina. Should they also remove the G at midfield and paint a Pella crest?
Okay, Wayne, you can't customize a football game to go the way you want, but Pella can customize your home the way you want.
Right now, get 0% interest for 60 months.
Visit PellaWI.com.
Hold your appointment on or before November 8th. Certain restrictions apply.
The only thing that tops our selection is your savings discount liquor.
Did you know Love was born November 2nd? Did you know Love was raised in Bakersfield, California? Did you know Love played college football at Utah State? Are you looking for lots of Love touchdowns the rest of this football season? Hi, this is Marie from Discount Liquor, where we love being your one-stop shop for everything alcohol-related. With our selection of over 15,000 varieties of beer, wine, liquor, and mixers, all at the lowest prices in town, Discount Liquor has all your tailgating needs covered. We are your football party beverage headquarters. Discount Liquor, 2 locations, Milwaukee on 51st in Oklahoma and in downtown Waukesha on Barstow and Maine.
The only thing that tops our selection is your savings discount liquor.
See all of our weekly specials at discountliquorinc.com.
Let's get the latest from Lambeau. This is your green and gold fix on 94.5 ESPN. Brought to you by Z-Bart of Greater Milwaukee. Want that mirror finish on your car? You need Z-Gloss by Z-Bart. Z-Gloss is a 3-layer ceramic coating that not only gives your car that mirror finish, it protects it from everything that Mother Nature can throw at it. Visit zbart.com for more information.
The Packers get a 24-22 victory in Green Bay on Sunday on a walk-off field goal from new kicker Brandon McManus. But it was Jordan Love after the game talking about his 2 interceptions that he wants to clean up.
Definitely got to clean that up, and I think if I clean that up, it'd be a better game. But that definitely hurt me. But got to bounce back and respond to him. The game's not going to be perfect, but definitely move forward. Want to be better with the ball.
It's 3 wins in a row now for the Packers, who next up take on the Jaguars in Jacksonville on Sunday.
This has been your green and gold fix Bucks on 94.5 ESPN. Brought to you by Z-Bart of Greater Milwaukee.
The 2024-25 Bucs season promises electrifying performances, unforgettable plays, and even more historic moments. Be part of it by securing your seats now at Bucs.com/full. Bucs season ticket members get the best pricing, premier ticket locations, and exclusive benefits. Secure your season membership and lock in your seats for what's sure to be an unforgettable 2024-25 season at Fiserv Forum. This era of Bucs basketball is something special. Get your tickets now at Bucs.com/full.
Guys, let's be honest. We like simple stuff, like sports 7 days a week. We like things uncomplicated, like Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men in Oak Creek on Howell Road, just south of Putes Road. Walk in anytime, 7 days a week, even Sundays. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome.
Welcome back to the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
The best 60 minutes. You go to WisconsinOnDemand.com with the doctor of football, Bryan Bulaga, because he watches the game twice. I don't understand. I'll never understand it. Like, he lived the game, he played it, but he feels like he needs to watch it twice. You're not changing, huh? That's the way you've always been.
No. Yeah. No,
All right, the latest
like
we heard was that one guy is at Ryan's playing better, so they're not equally switching the snaps at right guard, in which I go like, well, why the hell are you switching him at all? Why isn't he playing all the time? That's what I want to ask Bulaga.
Yeah, and I don't understand right now, right? Like, because I think Sean Ryan is playing good football.
Right.
And we heard, what Steno said a few weeks back, that Jordan Morgan's really talented. We need to get him on the field. He can't develop if he doesn't play, which I understand. I understand that, but I just don't get how you can rotate a guy that's playing well, right? And to me, it's a tough situation for Sean
because
Ryan.
You've never experienced it. That's not the way it works in the offensive line. Best guys playing, right? Top 5 guys.
Yep.
All right.
Top 5 guys.
We'll give you more time to talk about it because I want to get your thought on the Discount Liquor Twitter poll question. If Matthew Stafford was available and you were the Minnesota Vikings, would you trade for him? Yes or no? Actually, my line was different, though. Pebble didn't put it in. Hell yes! But I don't know what yours would be.
I would say yes. I'd say yes.
If this team, they've played well enough to make you believe they could be something special. So I don't know how long it takes a quarterback.
I agree.
How long does it take a quarterback, though, to get accustomed to a team? Is there enough time?
Well, I believe this is the same scheme that the Rams ran, right? O'Connell came from the Rams, didn't he?
I think you're right. What do we have next? What's next?
So,
ESPN. We always have a show. Yeah, Potnut, today's the only day we don't have a show, I think. All right, ESPN National. When's Bryan Bulaga going to be on ESPN National? Do they ever call you to get on? The hell is wrong with them? Not yet? Do you want to come on? I don't know if they pay you. Do you want to come on even if you don't get paid?
I'm good with what I got going on right now.
You're the best. We checked. That'll go as a no. Next.
Let me right. Whatever you do, make sure you do it right.
An accident on 94 eastbound, right in the stadium interchange. Looks like the left lane is blocked, so watch out for big